All right, welcome everybody. It's Box Art Battles episode 4, and we're joined with a special guest tonight, Pete Dorr himself. What's up?
Hello. First sighting on YouTube in almost a year. You guys got an exclusive here.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was like we were looking back through because Zach was like, "Oh, I don't know about like how figuring out like video setups and stuff." I was like, "Well, just go back and he uploaded something somewhat recently," and he was like, 8 months ago. Like, has it been that long? It's like, man.
Well, I'm excited to be back. Thanks for having me on. I've always been a big fan of box art for a long time, so I'm looking forward to seeing what surprises might pop up tonight.
Yeah. So in case you don't know what Box Art Battles is, which I'm sure a lot of you don't, it's of course a series where we match up box art battles that are generally randomly assorted by my brother. I don't even know if there was any certain method he used to pick these out. He doesn't even remember because he did it so long ago. But it's basically...
You had said in the past he had used like eBay. He'd gone through just like eBay listings of video games.
Yeah, I think that might have been what he did, but we're not sure. We don't remember.
But this is like months. This is like months ago, so Pete has no advantage here.
Yeah.
Right, I'm ready for Mario Brothers versus Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm sure. Not sure how obscure he'll get, but we'll see.
Look, I mean, Keith Courage in Alpha Zones won a previous box art battles, so there's some weird ones.
That's an interesting one. Yeah.
So it's basically a tournament bracket style. So we have 8 matches for the initial round, and then the winners of those advance until we have finally a winner in the end of this episode of Box Art Battles. 3 votes, so we don't have to break any ties or anything. Majority rules.
Which we had to on our first one because
it doesn't work out so great.
No.
All right, so we're gonna go to match 1. 3, 2, 1, click.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So we have Xenosaga Episode 2 versus Lollipop Chainsaw.
You're not going to try to pronounce the subtitle?
I'm not even going for that. Is it
Jinsei von Bose? Bose? Like that's not like we'll say Bose. Xenosaga Bose versus. Okay.
So what are your initial impressions here?
I really like Lollipop Chainsaw. It was a good game.
Good game.
But, I don't know if I really was overly fond of the box art.
I mean, it's got personality. It's got personality for sure.
It does. It gives you. I mean, it does. Yeah, you know exactly what the game's gonna be about. Kind of. She's got a lollipop. She's got a chainsaw. Her boyfriend's attached at her hip.
Mm-hmm.
And there's zombies.
I mean, it gets the point across, right? It lets you know what kind of wacky, crazy game you're going to be getting into.
Yeah.
So I think for that, it deserves some points, but it's kind of tame, right? Like I feel like it could have been pushed maybe a little bit further. I'm not a big fan of the background. It's kind of just boring.
The background is boring, yeah. Especially with that game has like really crazy zombie designs. You could have done something more interesting. I feel like some of the other promotional art for that game would have worked better than just that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a nice meanwhile with the Xenosaga, there's a nice elegance to that box art.
Yeah, it's not trying to do anything groundbreaking here. You know, it's like you got your characters with some transparency going on in the opacity. You got your logo centered, everything's perfectly centered almost.
I mean, it's got a good rule of thirds, right? Because you got Cosmos in the top right there with the profile shot, and then your eye kind of like goes through the triangle of looking from Cosmos to the top right to the logo, and then the characters in the left sort of like light beam, sort of like make your eye travel back up, and so it's like this circular effect where it has a nice flow to it.
Yeah,
I agree. I especially like it's like you don't necessarily see it because my eye tracked down the characters to the title. But then there's like a battle going on or something in the background, so it's like, oh, that's kind of cool.
It's some sort of mech action.
Something in this game that is very divisive.
I have not played. Yeah, I haven't played the sequel yet, but I've heard this game is very love or hate kind of game.
Yeah. So I mean, something we always go back to is what are you like? Does it make you excited to play either of these games? Looking at them, I mean, for me, even though there could be more there. I feel like Lollipop Chainsaw, it still has more personality, and it's like wow, that's something different. Xenosaga, it's kind of like it could be good, it could be bad. Like if you didn't know anything about either the series, it's like it's an RPG for sure. But
So the thing about Xenosaga for the first game, the cover was just one character, which was Cosmos, and then this one, in a game where it's so focused on the story. Imagine being really into the first game, and then the second one comes out, and the characters that they're showing on the left are grown-up versions of some of the characters from the first game. So that's kind of neat, like setting your expectations. Like, okay, this is a direct sequel. Some of the characters are growing up here, so it's sort of like a nice evolution from the first box art to the second.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known that because I've never played Xenosaga, so.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Well, if you ever do, order a couple buckets of popcorn because it's got hours and hours and hours of FMV.
A lot of sitting around.
Cutscenes,
Yeah.
I don't know. This is kind of a toss-up for me. I'm okay with either one, but if I had to pick one, I just like the composition more in Xenosaga. I mean, obviously, we know what the draw is of Lollipop Chainsaw, but I think with how over-the-top that game is, I think they could have pushed the cover further.
Yeah.
It's a complex storyline.
I'm really... James Gunn wrote the story to that, and I'm a big fan, so... But I'm not. But that doesn't matter.
We're all about the do you like the zombies crammed? There's a zombie crammed in a locker. Isn't that fun and wacky?
It is, but it's almost too drab. I don't know.
Oh.
Like the focus is very much on Juliet, but I don't know. This is.
But also let's not forget that the logo itself is also part of the box art. So like the Lollipop Chainsaw. There's some stuff going on there too. Like you got the rainbow, you got the chainsaw within the text.
I do like how in previous box art battles we've seen just like so many labels slapped on everything. I like how tasteful both of these are, though.
It's pretty good.
It's like your developers are everything kind of in the bottom corner on both. That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to go with Xenosaga 2 because I think I like the overall structure of it more. As much as I want to give it to Lollipop Chainsaw, I like the general composition of Xenosaga is much nicer, I think.
All right, well, I would have voted for Lollipop Chainsaw for what it's worth.
I think if Lollipop Chainsaw had came out like 5 years earlier, and because this game came out around the time where there was so many other games kind of throwing, half-naked girls at you on the covers of games, so it's like a little less striking because of that.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Xenosaga.
Could have done something bolder for sure, and a lot more draw your eye.
However, I did just notice that there is a zombie hand reaching for Juliet, and really going for it.
It really.
The little details really matter.
Yeah,
that's true.
You don't want to change your vote?
True. Just because of that. I don't know. That is a nice detail, though.
All right.
All
right, Xenosaga it is. All right, match 2, 3, 2, 1, click. 18-wheeler American Pro Trucker on the Dreamcast versus Splatoon 2 on the Switch.
Oh boy.
Really great stuff from American Pro Trucker.
So the first thing I don't like about American Pro Trucker's art is the colors are just like, really?
Yeah.
Like black, green, yellow, and red. I mean, it's just so drab looking.
Yeah, it looks like someone it looks like someone came up with an idea and then someone threw up. Like they just sort of submitted that. Like, oh wow, that's kind of interesting. That's kind of cool.
When I think of Dreamcast, I think of covers like Splatoon, where they're like bright and poppy and arcadey looking. And 18-wheeler, not only is the logo really boring, but yeah, there's not much going on. The thing that reminds me of this box, though, is Vigilante 8. Composition-wise, I kind of just get a very similar vibe from it. But if you recall the box art for Vigilante 8, that's got some nice bright colors. It's got nice oranges, whites, blues, reds. It just looks eye-popping, and this is just flat and kind of boring.
Yeah, leaves a lot to be desired here.
Definitely.
Splatoon 2, okay. I mean, colors. Splatoon, just by its very nature, is going to deliver with the colors.
Yeah.
And there's
Nintendo's always had a nice knack for composition. Like if you just look at the inklings on the top, how you got the one on the top right leading you to the top left, and then the green one in the background is heading down right, so it's like this nice bouncing effect of keeping your eye moving on the box art.
I think a lot of this this era, basically Wii U on for Nintendo has just been like the art design and like composition design of like I think of Mario Kart 8's box art. When I look at something like this, it gives me that same like following a lot. So it's busy, but it's not so busy that you can't tell kind of get an idea of what the game's about and kind of what's going on. Yeah, I mean, Splatoon 2 is just wacky. Oh, they've got dual pistols now. That's cool.
I think also the colors they use are different than I'm trying to recall the box art for the first Splatoon, but I think they used a lot more like blues and oranges, and this one is opposite.
It is, yeah, it's blue and orange. Yeah, it was very like Nickelodeon colors. Is what I like to joke when a game first came out. But yeah, this is a lot more wild. Yeah, greens and pinks.
Also, the Splatoon logo is just fun. I love that they use the little inkling for the 2. It just makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, okay, I mean, it's pretty open shot. Yeah. Is there anything we like about the 18-wheeler box art?
I like the idea of what they're going for.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're, that's both coming at you. It gives you the both these cars are, it's like kind of wild and crazy, but it's just...
It definitely conveys the idea that there are 18-wheelers involved. I get that.
It's too close, right? Like if you look at the 18-wheeler on the right, it's like half of it is cut off. It just all the cars are cut off. It's just too zoomed in. If they would have scaled it back a little bit and maybe chose, I don't know, a bit of a better color scheme, could have worked.
Yeah.
Also, what exact is this supposed to be? Another? I don't even really know what's going on in the background there either. Like
something else is exploding.
There's
it's just
you never know.
It's just okay. Sure.
Yeah. American Pro Trucker. Is this what truckers are up to? All right.
Well, Splatoon 2, I think is
my vote.
That's my vote easily.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Get the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion versus Cabela's Outdoor Adventures. Ooh. All right. Okay, so look, there's not much going on with the Oblivion one. It's like the cover of a book is what they're going for.
Cover a book. You got the logo, the Oblivion symbol.
Winner Best RPG of E3, so it's worth noting. Maybe.
I'm not a fan of when they do that on box arts, putting all that crap in the bottom right.
Yeah.
I mean, look, as much as I love Oblivion, if I'm going to separate myself from the game and judge it based on the cover, it's not the best cover. I'll tell you that. It's very boring. I get it's trying to go for like you mentioned, a book kind of look, but man, is it just so basic and.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of feeling that Cabela's box art right now.
That open fish mouth is really doing something.
That would make a great Twitch emote, let me tell you. Look at the little fishing lure. It's like he's trying to escape for his life, even though it's not real.
Yeah.
You could put like sweat marks on the fishing lure.
I mean, let me tell you, the Cabela's Outdoor Adventures box art, it's not great. Like they whipped this up really quickly. I can tell because you slapped this. There's like 3 different images. Like I could do this in Photoshop. They just got a background with like a little almost sunset, and there's something flying in the sky.
A hydroplane by the look of it.
I like the color contrast though between the sky and the blue versus the reddish orange. It's a nice contrast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, one of my housemates actually was talking. We were just talking about like how all the movie posters from like fantasy and sci-fi have been using blues and reds for the last like 15 years, and pretty crazy. If you look at all of them in comparison, they all look kind of generally the same, but that's because those colors pair extremely well together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean it works. I will say I like it. Sometimes I like it when a box art is simple and elegant. So I think of the Japanese covers for like the Final Fantasy games where it's literally just the logo.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times those can work pretty well.
But that's a Final Fantasy.
Yeah, that's Final Fantasy
logo versus a boring Elder Scrolls rune,
Yeah, yeah, it's very true. Yeah,
but look,
there's always artistry put into those logos is second to none. So
there's a sense of mystery about it. It's not supposed to look pretty. It's like an old book. It's like, oh, something going on under here.
Yeah.
Where else are you going to see an epic deer with a giant bass gulping in that little fishing lure? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Probably
it's either one or the other, typically,
all over the Wii, at least.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of the font. I'll say that. I'm not a fan of the Adventures, like Cabela's Outdoor Adventures font. Like, they pick 3 different fonts, and it's all right, but
I'm not a fan of that plane directly above the deer's head.
Yeah.
Composition-wise, that's kind of weird framing.
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of lazy. Like, they wanted to fill the space, and just, yeah.
Yeah, they just left. Honestly, if they just left it a sunset, I think it would have worked better. Because, like, I mean, I've never played Cabela's Outdoor Adventures, but I would assume that there's the draw of a Cabela's game is not going to be flying in a plane. It's going to be hunting deer and fishing.
Yeah, but you might see a plane every now and then, so it's something to look out for. All right, so what are you voting for?
Cabela's Outdoor Adventures.
All right.
Easily.
Pete, are you locking in Cabela's?
Yeah, I'm going with Cabela's.
All right, I'm voting for Oblivion.
Just as a spite vote? Doesn't matter anyway.
Honestly, I just really find that bottom right corner distracting as all heck.
Yeah,
though.
I always hate that too. That's why like I like it when it's like a game of the year and an anniversary edition when they don't have that stuff on the front, but then on the back. I don't need to know all the awards it won.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Right,
now, something that could have swayed me towards Oblivion is, but because I know that this cover in particular, at least for the launch edition, didn't have anything. But if they had like an embossed foil cover or something with the logo where accents are kind of like, shining or something in real life, but it didn't. It was just a regular old cover. So for that, Cabela's is mine.
I can't believe Cabela's Outdoor Adventures is moving on in the bracket, but here we are.
It's the dark horse.
It's gonna take it all. All right.
A couple sports games.
All right. FIFA 16 on the PS4 versus Wimbledon Championship Tennis on the Genesis. Oh my.
Mm-hmm.
I may remember mine and Cole's us gunning for that for Rob Gronkowski on that Madden cover.
Yeah, but there's something disturbing about this FIFA 16 cover. You can't quite place it. It's like there's a different head on that body. Like it doesn't belong.
On the woman?
Yeah.
The woman's body? Yeah, that looks very weird.
It's like something's going on.
I don't like the glowing light behind them, if I'm being honest.
No.
That's the thing I don't really
No,
like.
and again...
I'm okay with the motion blur, but sports covers have always been so weird for me because I just find the facial expressions to always be like super awkward.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the more subdued ones, though, at least.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan, but again, let me draw your attention to the EA Sports right in the middle. It's like a big old pin slapped on.
And then that other FIFA logo on his knee.
FIFA 16.
Official license.
It's also an official licensed product of the FIFA.
How could it not be?
I don't remember. I don't remember the acronym. I think it's in Spanish though. So.
However, I'm really also not a fan of that Wimbledon box either. That is one of the most hideous tennis boxes I think I've ever. I mean, it's different. It's just what the heck. Just take a aerial shot and that's it. Okay.
It's really trying to give you. Wimbledon's just an amazing. It's a classic. Wimbledon is as a location. It's like the. I don't know.
I'll give them credit though. It's not every day you get a sports cover with a shot of the stadium, which is different.
Yeah. It's telling me it's larger in scale than FIFA 16, which is focused on these 2 protagonists. You have an entire stadium here. It's crazy.
And I'm sorry, I don't know my soccer players as well as I should, so I have no idea who these people are.
Of course. Of course, and I'm convinced that that woman is not.
She's on the USA national team. You can actually tell on the logo. I don't remember Qatar Airways. I don't remember what
Qatar.
I think that might be FC Barcelona. I'm not up to date. I used to in high school. I knew this stuff a little bit better.
Absolutely. I mean, I agree with you. So Wimbledon. It also says new up to 4 players and licensed by the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club, Wimbledon. So
you needed what did Genesis use for like a hookups for multi?
Like a multi-tap. You'd plug it in and there's this little power brick. You plug it in to the 2-player slots and it'll expand it to 4.
Okay.
I'm okay with the Wimbledon one winning over FIFA 16. The only thing I wish they would have done is the contrast seems a little like dim. the lighting is kind of weird. But technology back then, it's not like they're gonna sit there with Photoshop or something and brighten that up. So
No, they just took a picture and we're good to go.
Yeah, that looks like they just took an aerial photo that someone was taking during Wimbledon coverage and just slapped it on the box.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, like FIFA 16, I don't want to give it just because it's like, oh, it's the sake of it being more clear and nicer composition, because I don't know if I would give it either of those things.
Now, my vote is going to Wimbledon Championship Tennis because I'm convinced that the person on this box art has a different face. They posted it on later. I'm really disturbed by what's going on here, but at least Wimbledon is different.
By not Mia Hamm, I don't know who this is. Mia Hamm is like late 90s American soccer.
yeah, I'll also give my vote to Wimbledon.
All right.
Okay, I think I was leaning towards FIFA, but it seems
we've got some weak ones moving on into the
some weak ones. This is Wimbledon. What is going on there? That's not great.
All right, Wimbledon Championship Tennis wins. Moving on, match 5. Ready to Rumble Boxing. PS1 versus Just Dance 2014. Okay. Oh, man. Love this. Okay, so Ready to Rumble Boxing. Pretty simple. You got 2 boxers and you got some wacky typography going on. White background. A little bit of a drop shadow.
A lot of text on these two.
But I like, once again, distancing myself from the game versus the cover. I do like how Just Dance handles composition for showing you artists on the cover. So instead of just like listing it in a boring way, they use different colors to kind of match the background and kind of like literally dance it around the logo. I actually really like the way they've done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, it kind of does, because you get to...
You
think of Just Dance as a game that moves around a lot, and you have to kind of move your head around to sort of like, oh, it's a wacky composition. It's like summer. Yeah.
The most disturbing thing about...
The orientation of the font is...
The most disturbing thing about this box art, Just Dance, is at the top it says Wii Remote Required. I'm like, that's just such a blemish on the box art to me.
Also, the free Katy Perry download up there, too.
Ooh, moves
to Katy Perry's Smash Hit Roar.
Oh. They could have at least had like a silhouette that looked like Katy Perry there.
Yeah.
It would make more sense.
But honestly, the logo is just so dominating that everything else is kind of just secondary. And
yeah, you've got like Tetris blocks in the background. I mean, that's not what it is.
It is Tetris-esque.
But really, you got to remember with Just Dance, it was so popular that I guess that's what they were going for, is you needed a giant logo on the box so that like grandma or your little brother, sister, whatever could see it from a really far distance away and be like, ooh, a new Just Dance from really far away.
And
so
look,
that's what they were going for.
Blurred lines featuring Robin Thicke featuring Pharrell.
Yeah, we're right in the thick of 2014 here.
Yeah.
But
that's,
I think all the...
That song has not aged well.
If I remember all the Just Dances, they have very similar... They're just like 90% is
very similar.
The font. So how do you feel about Ready to Rumble Boxing? What's going on here?
I like the type font. I've always felt like the cover for this game is very recognizable, but I also like... The completely white background has always been sort of drab for me, but it really does make the characters and the font kind of pop. I actually think if this were the Dreamcast version of the box, I'd say, yeah, it works even better because Dreamcast kind of just, I don't know, it has a really arcadey kind of box art to it, and I think it really works for Dreamcast.
The curve on the logo.
I think they could have done something more dynamic with like the boxers actually boxing one another in some way. I don't know, just something better than just 2 like character portraits.
I think even just having the stadium or the arena in the background or something would have been more interesting.
For sure. So
I like the type font though.
Yeah, the font is really fun.
But I don't think the character models are enough to carry this. Like, they needed to have some depth to it. Whereas I think Just Dance handled it more tastefully, I guess, having the simplistic approach. My vote's for Just Dance.
I think that's why your brother chose these 2 box arts, because he saw like, okay, let's take the most boring background on a cover ever, and then take one of the most extreme, colorful rainbows on the spectrum for Just Dance. I'm actually going to give my vote to Just Dance, just because I like what they do with the colors, and I really like what they did with the artist names, sort of bordering the logo.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do the same thing. I feel like it would have gone to Ready to Rumble if they'd just done something a little more interesting than just the white backdrop.
Yeah, like you don't have to do much for me to vote for something over just some nice typography, honestly. You just have a little more personality to it would have been all you need.
But,
all right.
Yeah.
Just Dance 2014 moves on.
Okay.
Okay, Spider-Man Friend or Foe on the PSP versus Ferrari challenged Trofeo Pirelli on the Wii. Oh, God. Okay. So, where do we want to start?
Ferrari challenge, let's see.
Ferrari challenge, I mean, they really went for it with the front of the car.
Just look at that chassis. That's all they
just
wanted
look
you to
at
say.
it. That's all you have to see. And then you have black and white background where there's like some action going on, at least.
You can't really even see it very well. Like
it's like a still racing action shot. It's blended in pretty non-obviously, I guess.
Yeah.
I do like that they have the reflection of the car with a little bit more red down there, and the logo being so bright red. I think it's, I don't know. I like the way that the logo ties in with the car, and the background is kind of mostly black and white. It really draws your attention to the car, that is for sure. Yeah. And I mean, it's a Ferrari game, right? So you want to really draw attention to the car on the cover. And from a distance, that's something you'd notice from far away on a store shelf. So it kind of works for what they're going for. You've got to play up that license that you paid for this game.
Yeah, it's all about the Ferrari.
Yeah, Trofeo Pirelli. There you go.
Himself. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of racing. I don't know when this game came out exactly, but I feel like a lot of racing games around this time were using very sort of similar, like, to make it kind of feel classy, I guess, you use sort of a black and white filter over the image you're using, and then using colors either to highlight specific cars or something. I think of like a Forza or a Gran Turismo using a lot of like grayscale in their boxes. Yeah.
But who is Ferrari challenge kidding? I don't want to know what the gameplay looks like.
I find the cover honestly to be kind of boring though. Just like that front head-on shot. I mean, it's just kind of I don't know.
A more dynamic, maybe a more like a side view angle of the car would have been more.
Or heck, take that action shot they got up there and blow that up and put color on it, and boom, there you go.
Yeah.
I don't like how on the back of the car in the background it says the official game from System 3.
Oh no, I totally missed that.
And they have it all like curved, and I don't like what's going on there.
Yeah, it's interesting you pointed that out. I'm not a big fan of.
It's like a subliminal message.
Because honestly, like they've already got System 3 Presents on the box.
Yeah.
Up above the logo.
The official game from System 3.
Just so you know. And then there's Pirelli. I mean, really driving it home. Okay, so Spider-Man, friend or foe?
So it's interesting that this is the PSP version, because the one thing that immediately jumps out to me is I don't like the cropping on Spider-Man's foot. The fact that it's just like chopped off. It's like a little stump kind of like going on there. It just
okay.
Composition-wise on the PSP, I'm not a fan of that. Actually,
yeah, they could have. I feel like they could have shifted it a little over, and I don't know if you wouldn't have cut off Green Goblin either in the background. I don't think you just shifted the art over a little bit, so it's not cutting his foot off.
I mean, the other thing that really stands out that I don't like compositionally is it looks like they're all getting ready to like fall off the right side of the box, right? They're all like running and flying towards the right side of the box, like just barely hitting it. It's like, it feels like a box art that they meant to come out with a sequel and have like other characters on the other side coming at them. So it's like this clash effect, but it just doesn't work for me. Everything is shifted too far to the right. They needed to scale the art back and like push it a little more to the left so that characters like Doc Ock and Goblin weren't about ready to like fall off the box art like his foot did.
Almost like a Marvel vs. Capcom thing where you have two things facing off against each other.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I don't know anything about this game, honestly, but it's like, it is weird from an outside perspective. It's just seeing there's Spider-Man, and he's seemingly on the same side with all these villains, and like, I don't know who he's facing off against. I don't know if that's the mystery. It's supposed to like, oh, what are they going towards, and then that's what's supposed to draw you in.
Well, the subtitle, friend or foe, maybe they're friends or foes in this one. I don't know anything about it either.
Wacky. Yeah. That's wacky.
I'm also not a big fan of profile shots like this. I feel like if they should have shifted the action to be coming towards the player a bit more, but for sure. I don't know. I've just never been a big fan of the box art for this game.
Honestly, this is like, I don't really like the art of Spider-Man either. I think the other villains look fine, but it's just something that feels like really like cheap.
It's very glossy.
Yeah, yeah, it's like very cheap.
Saran wrapped Spider-Man.
So, how are we feeling?
Geez,
Spider-Man versus Ferrari Challenge.
Not a big fan of either, honestly.
I don't love either of these.
I'll let you guys pick yours first. I'll be the tiebreaker.
Oh, so we have to tie it.
Well, if it goes to the...
if it goes tying, yeah.
Look, what
I'm gonna give it to Spider-Man friend or foe, and the reason why is because I don't like that official game of System 3 on that car in the background. It's very weird. I felt like I probably would have leaned more towards that one if I didn't notice that. Because it's like, it's not the most interesting box ever, but it feels in line with racing games of that period of time. So,
all right, I'm gonna vote for Ferrari Challenge. Okay. I don't have much of a preference, so I'm gonna put the vote on Pete here. The ultimate decision.
So because I just like the colors more, and the sky hype combination of blue and like a yellowish orange on Spider-Man is kind of rare to see. I'm just going to give it to Spider-Man just based on the colors.
Sky hype indeed.
Yep.
I just realized I should have worn that shirt today. I have that shirt. The Sky hype shirt. Dang it.
Oh.
I had an opportunity.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. 3, 2, 1. All right. Caesar's Palace 2000 versus Donkey Kong on the NES.
Don't you have this game on Saturn, Zach?
Caesar's Palace?
Maybe it's not Caesar's Palace. You have some casino game on the Saturn, though.
Yeah, that's I forget the name. Virtual Casino. Wish that showed up on Box Art Battles. Okay. God. All right. Caesar's Palace 2000. Millennium Gold Edition. The largest assortment of 3D Caesar's Palace gambling games ever. Also free inside. Caesar's Palace Guide to Gaming Handbook. Okay. How do you feel about it?
Original arcade classics Donkey Kong.
I mean, the texture. The texture is nice, at least. I think.
Yeah, the texture. It is true. The texture, like the contrast between the texture on Caesar's and the coin thingamajig going on there, it's a nice contrast. But I mean, if you're just comparing it to Donkey Kong, the Donkey Kong composition, I love how it's like skewed from the Black Box series. I like how you're taking a game that. The greatest thing about this box art is if you've never seen Donkey Kong before in action, you look at this box and you actually know how the game plays, right? Because you can see the movement lines from the barrel. You know that Donkey Kong is tossing a barrel and that barrel is rolling, right? Because you see the movement. You see Mario, his jump lines going over the barrel that's coming towards him. So you can actually just look at this still on the box and know exactly how the game kind of functions, which is amazing composition.
Yeah, I actually like the fact that they're not really using altered versions of the in-game models too. The game doesn't actually look that nice in action, but it works really well for something that's blown up to be on a sizable box. It looks nice. I do like the Black Series games for their simplicity, but really focusing on what the game looks like to a degree. Modified versions of the sprites will look nicer on a box, but it still looks good and gives you an idea what the game is about. Yeah, I totally agree with the movement lines being really, really a key component.
The colors are also really nice. I'm a big fan of the sort of tealish, light blue with the reddish, pinkish floorboard there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Color wise, I'm a fan.
So is there anything that Caesar's Palace 2000 could have done in a box art that would beat Donkey Kong? Like the game naturally is going to be look more boring because it's a gambling game.
Yeah.
But
like anything than what they did.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe have like a CG rendering of a giant casino with like flashing lights, or like even just like a Greek like old school style looking, something that has never really existed, but just kind of like have fun with some kind of CG rendering of some kind of crazy casino.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they could have even used potentially. So Caesar's Palace it's a real casino in Las Vegas. They could have used a picture maybe of the facade of Caesar's Palace, because it's a pretty well known, pretty iconic casino in Vegas. So
yeah, like
I don't know. I don't like it feels like clip art they used for like the texture in the background, the green marble thing that they used kind of there.
Well, I mean they're going for a classy look, I guess. But yeah, if you look at the box art, you don't know what it is, then I wouldn't like get that it's a gambling game at first glance. You really have to get into the text, start reading this thing.
But they did use the Caesar's Palace font, so if you've ever seen anything of like, you kind of maybe your mind would sort of.
So they're just going on brand recognition alone. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just like that they use the lime green color for the background, though. I don't know if that's on brand or anything, but it's sort of a more uncommon color to see used in such a, grand scale on a box art.
That is true.
And it does say Millennium Gold Edition. Was there a different edition of this game?
Nope, that's all marketing, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I can almost guarantee.
This is like, this is a special edition.
That's just fancy marketing words.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I vote for Caesar's Palace. Great box art.
You're just being a contrarian.
I love
Donkey Kong all the way.
I do like marble. I like a good marble.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, I know it's going to Donkey Kong. So
Donkey Kong. Yep.
Yeah.
I should have said Caesar's Palace for the upset.
Oh. All right. Please, match 8. Give us hope.
Okay.
All right. We have Mortal Kombat 2 on the Super Nintendo versus Mario Kart DS. Okay. So 2 fairly simple.
So I've never really been a big fan of. I think of all the Mario Kart box arts, Mario Kart DS is one of my least favorite. I have to say.
I agree.
Right.
No, I've never really liked Mario Kart DS's box either.
I will say if you're gonna have any game with a white background, it should be a DS game. So at least that's
works. True. Yeah.
It is also a very interesting pose from Mario. I mean, the way his leg is bending so far back there. I mean, he's really jumping into that car.
Really going for it.
Looks like he's breakdancing there almost on top of the B dasher.
Mm-hmm. Mortal Kombat 2, on the other hand, they're simple. They have the logo in the center, and the font centered and everything, and then you got some lightning going on in the background. That's kind of cool.
Essentially, what they're doing is, the lightning is the only thing illuminating the logo, like the dragon
gives it
logo.
a nice little sheen there.
And with Super Nintendo, for the black border, it works kind of nicely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the all Super Nintendo boxes were all black anyway, so for the most part. So,
I will say
interesting that it has. Is this a North American release? Because I don't know if that symbol, the button symbol, was that really used a lot on boxes in North America? I don't really know.
I don't remember if that's on many at all. I don't know. I never really paid attention to that.
Yeah.
This could be sort of like a universal kind of like box art with that, but I'm not 100%. Sort of like a mock rendering by somebody, but not sure.
Do you like the simplistic take? Because Mortal Kombat's a game about fighting, and if you don't know anything about it, you don't really get any indication that's what this game is about looking at it.
I think that speaks volumes for, like, they knew that, like, that's how you know you have a strong game, is when you can sell your game on the logo alone, right?
Okay.
Like, you see that logo, you know it's Mortal Kombat. Like, if you didn't know what Mortal Kombat was, go back to playing, little kids games on the Game Boy. Essentially, I think that's the marketing they were going for. Yeah. It's like, this is Mortal Kombat. You know what it is. It's sort of like taboo among families with like, hey, turn off the blood. You're not supposed to play violent games. So it's like you knew what you were getting into with picking this game up. You knew what it was before you bought it, essentially.
Yeah, I think the lightning works really well. Honestly, if it was just kind of like a gray sky in the background and that's about it, then it's not so much. But I love how the lightning is illuminating like part of the logo. I think that just works really well. It's cool. And yeah, I think they were very confident that Mortal Kombat, that name, would and again it's black, it's got the seriousness to it. Yeah,
it really wanted to develop that brand, like recognizable logo, to the point where you don't need anything else on your box.
But is that a credit to the box art? Like,
I think it looks pretty cool, honestly. I like the lightning with the cloudy sky.
Yeah,
I'm kind of a fan of how they do it.
So you do have like a sharp contrast here. You have really dark and really bright with
really
Mario
bright.
Kart.
Yeah.
But there's really not much to Mario Kart.
Yeah, it's just, hey, there's Mario. He's jumping in the.
I mean, it's the Mario brand recognition there. It's like that's all you need for Mario Kart too, really.
I'm also not the biggest fan of the kart design.
You beat Dasher, even though it's sort of like iconic now. I've never really liked that either.
Yeah.
I mean, this is definitely my least favorite Mario Kart box art for sure.
Yeah, I think of like Mario Kart 7, where it's very similar to this in some essence, because Mario Kart 7 also has a white background, but there's a lot more movement to it.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of the characters are all coming towards the box. There's stuff going on in the background.
And like Mario Kart 8, Mario Kart Double Dash, they do the colorful style really well too. And so Mortal Kombat 2 will get my vote.
Yeah, same.
Mortal Kombat 2.
All right, well that's the end of round 1. So now
Interesting batch we have here.
Quite an interesting batch. Now we'll have the winners facing off against each other. So we'll have Xenosaga Episode 2 versus Splatoon 2.
This is tough because this is a battle between good composition.
I wasn't super enthused about Xenosaga Episode 2 to begin with, but I think they both have fairly good composition, though, all things considered.
I like what they do with the colors in Xenosaga, how it kind of plays on the cooler tones for the entire box for the most part, with the blues and purples.
Yeah.
It's a bit more of a subdued box art, whereas if you look at Splatoon, it's like oh my, you just feel like you just ate a whole bag of Skittles or something. It's like super in your face, over the top.
Yeah, it's like you want the Fortnite kids to play this game, that kind of vibe.
Is this before Fortnite? When did Fortnite come out? I'm trying to remember.
No.
Splatoon 2 is after Fortnite.
Yeah.
Is it? Because Splatoon 2 2017, so I just didn't remember.
I don't remember exactly when Fortnite came out, but I'm also not the biggest fan of the character designs of Splatoon either. I like the Inklings a lot, but the actual like kids or whatever they call them, I don't know what they call them. I just never, as a whole of designs in Splatoon, I've never been the biggest fan.
Well, you're either a kid or a squid, and you got both forms here.
There you go. Yeah, I am a big fan of that, but I don't know. The
more I look at it, I do like the simplicity of Xenosaga, and it is kind of like a product of its time too. Like it feels like a PS2 era game, almost. And that's a good thing.
And I like that they set fans' expectations by showing characters that are older on the cover. So it's like you already know getting into this that it's a direct sequel.
That is cool. Sort
of like movie poster style,
It does feel like, especially I don't know if there is I can think of movie posters that sort of use like that slash where it's like there's multiple characters that are shown kind of in it.
Well, they're both sequels, so which one, if you just looked at the box art and knew nothing about the game, which one makes you want to play it more?
Splatoon 2.
Yeah.
Something to consider. I'm thinking my vote's gonna go to Splatoon 2. I feel like it has more personality, and I actually do like the character designs. Like you mentioned before, I do like how they use the two in the font with the squid. I think it's nice.
Yeah. I just think Splatoon will probably win out for me too, just because I really like what they do with the colors. Yeah. There's not, the color balance is really, really good. I mean, even if you just look right? An example is you look at the girls' sneakers, right, and it's like blue. You're like, well, I don't see blue anywhere else on the cover. But then you're like, oh, the sky. So it's like they tie everywhere. They're tying in a color somewhere, and it just works really well, balanced.
Really nice colors. Like Splatoon in general has had really great popping
pastel colors are really underutilized as well in covers. So
yeah. So nice pastels, and I agree. I think that there's a lot of really good. Nothing feels too out of place or overly offensive, despite the fact that it's very colorful and there's a lot of different colors. It's not like an assault on your eyes, which can sometimes happen when that happens. So I do want to give a shout out to Xenosaga. I think it is a nice, elegant cover, but I have to go for Splatoon 2 as well.
All right, so
I will say Splatoon from a distance though, very visually overwhelming.
True.
Like unless you're looking at it really close, like from a distance, it's kind of hard to see what the heck is going on at first. So my last knock at it. Got to get my last Splatoon knock in.
We could come back to haunt it later. All right. So next we have a great matchup that everyone wants to know. It's Cabela's Outdoor Adventures versus Wimbledon. What was the name?
Tennis.
Wimbledon Championship Tennis.
Cabela's has a chance.
Cabela's is going to make a run for it.
I think so.
God, I don't like the box art as much as I do like the fish face. I don't.
Hold on. I've got to zoom in on this Cabela's for just a second. There's a little detail I just need to see. Okay. Yep. So if you look really closely at that fishing lure, that lure has a cute little face with his little eye and his little mouth. I mean, he's got personality too. So it's something to consider. You really got to zoom in to see it though. I mean, really, I can care.
He does have a cute little face on him there.
I can care less about the deer. It's all about the fish for me, honestly.
You think the fish hard carries this box art?
It kind of does. I mean, like again, it's just Wimbledon. It's like okay, Wimbledon.
Well, Wimbledon.
This is so much more colorful and interesting.
Yeah.
I vote for Cabela's.
I do like fishing. I mean, I wish fishing felt this exciting. As exciting as this fishing box art. They try really hard to make it look exciting. Yeah.
And then you look on the back of the box and it's like, oh, well, that's great. All right, so
I remember, it's got to be the Cabela's Outdoor Adventure for me.
Easy.
Yep.
All right. Next up, we got Just Dance 2014 versus Spider-Man Friend or Foe. A lot of licensed games in the mix.
Very true.
So this one really comes two completely different approaches to box art. One of them relies almost solely on logo and colors, and the other one is almost entirely on character composition.
Mm-hmm. Does Spider-Man Friend or Foe get credit as a box art just by the nature of Spider-Man being a good character design? Does that get bonus points, or do we disregard?
I mean, Spider-Man is a great character design, but I've even said I don't really like this artistic rendering of him. I don't like it at all.
I mean, just look at his legs, right? It looks like almost like Lego bricks or something.
Or I was gonna say it almost actually looks like his left arm is like fusing into his leg there. I mean, it's not, but it kind of looks that way almost.
Mm-hmm.
They really struggled to fit all these characters on a box. That is for sure. I think it's a little busy, honestly.
Yeah.
I think they wanted the idea is look at all these villains. There's so many different options or something. I don't know what goes on in this game, but I guess you can play as them probably.
Can you play Venom, and that'd be interesting.
I'm not sure. I mean, it is intriguing, right? Like, let's say little Billy's in the store and he sees Spider-Man seemingly teamed up with all his villains. I mean, that's kind of intriguing, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of sells the game, friend or foe. Yeah. So kind of, in a way, the box really does a good job of selling itself, because a young or even an older Spider-Man fan would see this and be like, what? I get to play with villains with Spider-Man? That's kind of cool.
Mm.
So conceptually,
I mean, I'm intrigued in a way. I don't know anything about this game, but I'm like, oh, that's kind of a neat idea. I wonder how they deal with that.
Conceptually, it's got something going there. Just Dance relies solely on, like, here are these artists that are really popular in 2014. Maybe you know some of these songs. That'll
Get Lucky.
And also the name of the song is Just Dance. I mean, you know what you're getting into. The name of the game.
I think for this one, I'd give it to Spider-Man just because I think they do a good job of creating intrigue in the box art. questions want to be asked for this.
Yeah, you almost could have had a question mark in friend or foe. Friend or foe? But it says just friend or foe.
Yeah, so yeah, I wonder what the meaning of that is, because it's not a question. It's just they could be your friend or your foe in any given moment. Like, you choose if they're your friend or your foe.
Yeah.
Friend or foe.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good point. Yeah, I don't know. I'm leaning towards Spider-Man. I do think Just Dance does. It knows what it is, and it knows how to sell itself on the artist, on the popular music of whatever era. I don't know if Just Dance boxes still do this exact thing. They probably do. I mean, I know that logo. I've seen that logo like, 100 times. I don't know. I haven't looked up close to see if it's featuring this other popular music from 2017 or whatever. But
yeah, I'm gonna vote for Spider-Man because I've said this in the past. I also knock box arts that feel like products. And Just Dance 2014 is like so shameless in that it's like it just feels like it's selling itself, Here
we go, Daft Punk and Pharrell Williams. There you go.
Free download, Wii remote required.
Yeah, well, you needed the Wii remote on a Wii U anyway. So
what would have been cool to see is maybe just like a bit of a more bring the cool, well, arguably cool character designs of Just Dance, where it's like that sort of white silhouetted character, like in the bottom left. And kind of do something more interesting like that, sort of like what Field of Magic or Rub Rabbits kind of does on the DS.
Oh yeah. Focus more on the interesting. Have them doing a dance move or something, maybe. Something, more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Dancing around the logo, kind of, but.
Yeah.
So would your vote?
That's not going to sell the game. It's the artist, so understandably.
Yeah, friend or foe. That's I got to go with that one.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, yeah. What if they did Just Dance like they do the Madden box arts, where it's like a different musical artist is like the face of that box art each time, or you got Bruno Mars.
Yeah, Bruno Mars. There he is.
Bruno Mars is doing like a little dance move. Could be something. All right, final match of round 2 is going to be Donkey Kong versus Mortal Kombat 2.
A black box art here.
I don't know. I feel like you have to weigh into the fact that like the NES, the box art is limited in how much it can do. So with what it does well. Because for me, I mean, there is something more striking about Mortal Kombat 2 in its design. I don't know.
Also, to keep in mind, Donkey Kong is not sort of like 100% unique in its design because it's following the Black Box series. So there are tons of other games that have a very similar layout. But it's an interesting point, though, where, look at the limited space, the limited little section of the box they have to work with. And they pull it off quite well. But it's like, at the time, who didn't know Donkey Kong, It's like, I would assume at the time, if you were picking up this game on the NES, you knew what Donkey Kong was. I can't imagine there were too many people that were like, what's this? I've never heard of Donkey Kong, kind of thing. So maybe the game already kind of sold itself.
The original Donkey Kong. I just realized that has an exclamation point around it, too. The original Donkey Kong.
Huh.
But it's not the original, though. It's missing a level.
So I don't know if I can, because it's hard to compare this to, if it was, they're both retro, but if we compare this to a modern box art, it's hard to do that because, we do knock box arts nowadays if they have, obnoxious logos and stuff. And really, it's, a big portion of this box art is, the Nintendo arcade series, the Nintendo seal and everything, but...
Yeah, they emphasize in multiple places that it's an arcade. It's part of the arcade series, which they had multiple games. I don't remember how many, but... because even the Mario Brothers arcade was part of the series, but Super Mario Brothers looked a lot like this too. It just didn't differentiate itself. It differentiated itself in a different way. I don't remember what it was called, but it had a very similar look to this.
I do think the blue is a nice touch because I think it would not stand out as much if it was just the orange and the blacks and the red.
If Mario, I like how you mean how Mario's outline is blue.
He's blue, and then you have blue in the arcade classic series, so it's got a bit of a pop to it.
a lot of different lines going on too. So you got the diagonal lines of the actual logo, you have the horizontal lines of the red floorboard, and then you have the vertical lines of the ladders, which is kind of a nice look to it. But I mean, one thing to keep in mind with Mortal Kombat 2 is it's kind of bold, but also, you know, it's pretty much the same logo as the first game. But I mean, obviously, I don't know if we should factor that in. But it's kind of a copy and paste of the first game with just a different background and the 2 logo thrown in.
It's true.
I still really like the lightning in the background. I do. I mean, this Mortal Kombat is a very mature game, and this just looks like the kind of game that you'd find in like your older brother's collection or something, and it just looks like it's going to be a very dark and mature game just based on that cover alone.
It's like along with his metal collection and his like posters, his band posters that he has.
So cool.
Mortal Kombat 2 is very like
so cool.
We're cool. It does give exude. We're cool and we know it.
Does Donkey Kong give you cool vibes? I don't think so. but it does give you fun. It gives you fun.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, this is really tough for me. This might be one of the toughest matchups so far, because it's like
they're both good in their own ways, but so different.
It's like retro simplicity. Which one does it better?
I mean, the one thing that I'm always drawn to with the Donkey Kong one, like I said, is giving motion to the box art with the movement lines. I really dislike how they do that.
True.
It's less of a static image, and like you can feel the movement on the cover.
I was about to vote for Mortal Kombat 2. just when I think I'm out, you draw me back in.
Something really interesting I noticed too about the Donkey Kong one is they made the choice, if you look at Donkey Kong's back foot, to actually extend it a pixel or two past the border.
That's true. Yeah, they did that with I think of the Mario Brothers one. He's like bowled out of the like sector of the box that was dedicated to the image. He's like out of it, if memory serves. So I feel like that was something they kind of did with this to kind of give it more. I don't know. It's like, whoa, you get more. Again, it's kind of goes back to this idea of emotion.
Yeah, and I guess they can't knock Donkey Kong's box art for having that stuff at the bottom when you look at Mortal Kombat 2 and it's got that whole border just from the Super Nintendo box. So they're both limited in that way.
I think I'm gonna go with Donkey Kong just because I like the colors, I like the motion, I like what they do with the limited space that they're given, and I don't know. I kind of like everything about the arcade classics box.
I like those boxes. I think I'm gonna have to go with Mortal Kombat 2. This is honestly, I could have left this up to a coin flip. I think that the senses of motion are really, really great in that Donkey Kong. But just thinking about like how well this sells itself as like a mature game.
Just thinking about how cool,
dark and mysterious.
Yeah.
How cool we could have been if we owned this at the time.
Oh yeah, I know.
It would have been life changing.
I don't think my brothers would have been allowed to have this game. So
this is tough.
I never would have seen that in my house, probably growing up. So.
Well, I mean, one thing to also factor in for Mortal Kombat 2 is think of how many other games just did sort of the logo cover and how effective Mortal Kombat is versus those, right? Like, look how effective the lightning is in the background to illuminate the logo.
All right, I agree, Pete. I'm going to vote for Mortal Kombat 2 then. All right, you convinced me.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with either one.
I didn't even want Donkey Kong to win. Reverse psychology. All right, so here we go. We're in the semifinals, baby. Splatoon 2 versus Cabela's Outdoor Adventures. Yes.
All right, this is it. Cabela's. Do you have the legs to beat Splatoon 2?
This is a tough one. We love an underdog story, but
I love the hogfish.
It's ahead of its time.
Little baby lorefish, though.
It was ahead of its time.
He's got feelings too. The little lorefish.
Yeah, the lorefish. It's like no.
Is there an argument for Cabela's Outdoor Adventures to be better than Splatoon 2?
Outside of the fish and the lore, I mean, the thing is, though, there's so many other fishing games that do a similar approach. Just that this one is sort of like the best of both worlds with the awkwardly framed plane and the deer. So I'm definitely leaning towards Splatoon 2 because it is such a strong cover in many different ways. I will miss my little fish. I was really pulling for him, but this is a tough one to
There's
overcome.
definitely a world where this could win it, could have won it all. If, like, you have some of the heavy hitters like Splatoon 2 out of here.
Yeah. If we were just filled with the Wimbledons of the world that we might have, but
it has to go to Splatoon 2. It has to for me.
Yeah, it really same. I mean, I just the upper half of Cabela's is just very uninteresting. Like honestly, this could have been any Cabela's game, and
it's very stock art kind of like from Cabela's. Like, all right, just take some random deer in our folder here and take a random fish and okay, this aerial shot of a plane and slap them all together.
I'm telling you, they whipped this up in a couple minutes.
Yeah. Honestly, they have more artistry. I don't know if either of you have ever been into a Cabela's.
I have not.
There's a really interesting artistry too, because almost every Cabela's I've ever been into, or Bass Pro Shop, always has like this huge mountain that they make in the center of the store, where they put taxidermized like all the animals and stuff. Mm-hmm. They have taxidermized deer and elk and like little bunnies and stuff. It's pretty impressive, honestly, what they do. This shows none of that artistry. Shame on you.
Yeah, could we have put some taxidermized animals on the box art? Would that have worked?
I mean, that deer looks like it was probably a taxidermized deer.
So are we all voting for Splatoon 2?
Splatoon, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so now we have Spider-Man, Friend or Foe versus Mortal Kombat 2.
Well, I haven't really been the biggest fan of Spider. It's been barely hanging on just because it gets paired up against such terrible box art until now. Yeah. So I think for me this time, the Mortal Kombat 2 art would definitely win over this one, just because I just like how dark Mortal Kombat 2 is.
And it does, Spider-Man, Friend or Foe, the more I look at it, it does feel like it's plasticky.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't really bring you into the world. It like feels like these are characters that were just pasted on here.
I mean, all my original complaints still stand about the cropping of his foot. Everybody's kind of like falling off the right-hand side of the box. The profile view. I mean, it's just kind of
the glossy, the glossy Spider-Man is just gross.
And then, meanwhile, Mortal Kombat 2 has a classy sheen to it from the lightning.
Yeah.
So.
Plus, if you look, like, Venom is running, right? So that's implying that they're like on top of a building right now, I guess.
I guess, yeah, because Doc Ock also is like the two of his tentacles are down.
That's the thing. There's too many questions. It's like there's so much not seen, and it's like it's hyper zoomed in. They need to pull it back a little.
Yeah. What are they after? What are they fighting?
It's
It's a racing game. They're just racing one another.
Yeah, it might be.
Spider-Man Friend or Foe is a racing game? That would be interesting.
What are Spider-Man, Green Goblin, Venom, and Doc Ock? What are they fighting? Like
Electro. There's Electros over there. We gotta go after him.
Do they just band together and fight other villains, even though they're villains? Friend or foe? It's a coin toss every time. Friend or foe? All right.
I mean, one last thing though. You look before we axe Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the Splatoon box, right? It just shows you how masterful the color use is. And here, you look at Green Goblin, and it's like he's just a green splash on the side of the box, and then there's never any other color to tie him in. Same with Spider-Man. Same with every other character. The only colors that are tied in are Doc Ock and the freaking brown color in the background. I mean,
yeah.
Terrible color usage.
That's because they didn't even think about colors. They're like, here are some characters. People know these characters. You know them.
Yeah.
Pull them out of the clip art files.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So Mortal Kombat 2.
Easy.
Okay, this is it. All right, the grand finale. The battle of the sequels again. Splatoon 2 versus Mortal Kombat 2.
Man, like super simple approach versus one of the most complex and like hyper over. I don't know what's the right word. Like very complex and overwhelming cover arts.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you value
Very
more?
true.
You know.
Mm.
Splatoon 2 has like really ran through the competition so far. It didn't really have much. I don't feel like it had much competition along the way. It just so I have to take a good hard look at whether Mortal Kombat 2 can stack up against that.
We're also tackling very different tones and very different like markets. So Mortal Kombat 2 is really selling itself to the older brother kind of market of that time, the adult or the kids who want to be as cool as their older brother or their dad or uncle who loves this. He's got all his metal T-shirts, and
I mean,
Splatoon 2 is like the it's very family friendly, very pastels, very colorful.
you would feel cool coming home with Mortal Kombat from the store. You know, it's like you see that on the shelf, you just feel like the coolest kid alive walking out of the mall or electronics boutique with that game when it came out with that cover. And Splatoon 2, you know, you're like double bagging that thing, hiding it from your mom and dad. Like, I hope they don't see this. They're gonna think I'm into like Disney or something. Nothing
They'll think I like Pokemon.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it does have that E10 plus on it. So.
I hope my older brother, older sister doesn't catch me with this one kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, does it all come down to societal norms for the win?
That's.
Yep. It is kind of funny how different these are from one another, though.
Yeah, it is.
It's like
Wait.
I'm just finding it hard to convince myself to vote for Mortal Kombat 2 when clearly there's so much more effort put into this. Mortal Kombat 2, it is true, it's just the logo with just the one little added effect. And
it is true.
Mm.
And like
yeah, they were kind of like, all right, they sit down at the board meetings like, all right, what do we want to do for the cover? And then the one guy just says lightning bolt, and everybody just stands up and applauds, and that's it. They move on with their day.
Yeah,
Whereas Splatoon 2, I mean, you can tell that there was a lot of thought put into the cover for this game.
It's true. I don't know my Mortal Kombat lore. I'm pretty sure the dragon is like, isn't that supposed to be the Sub-Zero logo? I think. I don't really know. But Raiden, he's associated with lightning, right?
Yes.
Maybe something
Sure,
with Shenlong. I'm not sure either
Shenlong.
myself.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know my Mortal Kombat lore really, so I don't know like what the plot of Mortal Kombat 2 is. But I will say it's interesting. In this picture that we have, which I assume is an eBay listing, it almost looks like you can see like a residue of like a sticker that was on the corner there.
Definitely a box scan.
Yeah,
box scan.
So it's just nothing really to do with that. I just thought that was interesting.
I'll take that into account. There's some residue in the top corner.
Residue in the top corner. Yeah,
the team for Mortal Kombat would be laughing at us right now if we saw that it was in the finals of Boxstar Battles. Like we took 2 minutes on that thing. Like, we didn't even think about that.
That Nintendo, they had like half their team was involved in producing the box art. And it took them like a couple weeks to come up with the idea. Yeah.
Something to keep in mind, though, too, is how much is the Super Nintendo version of this box influencing us? Because if this were a Genesis version, it would be a vertical image as opposed to a cropped horizontal version.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have to factor in the fact that this is Super Nintendo version.
Super Nintendo, by its nature, is the uglier box. You know, I never.
The logos are very overpowering.
Yeah. So does that weigh against it? Whereas the Switch is like a more vertical, condensed, like you can pack so much in there.
I think the sort of like super compact cropped box art on Super Nintendo works for some games. I think it kind of works better for this one because the black box kind of ties into the Mortal Kombat image.
Because I'm thinking when Mortal Kombat 2 is out, had Genesis moved to Candy Stripe? Is that red? The red box? I'm trying to remember.
Mortal Kombat 2 on Genesis does have the red stripe, yeah.
Yeah. I guess that ties into the 2 in the background there, so that's something. But
I don't know. I almost feel like a different system might look better to me. I don't know why, but
I'm leaning to Splatoon 2 for my vote. I think it is while busy. I do like when box arts pack details in. So you do see there's the one that's using the roller in the background. We've got our front girl who's using the dual pistols, which are new to this game. We have different colors being shown, 2 colors that weren't used in the original Splatoon. And then you've got the one squid jumping, while another one looks like it's using the sort of like launch point thing to go somewhere, because you see all the ink lines coming off it.
There's definitely more depth to it. We've talked about in the past how we appreciate some good depth in the box art.
Yeah, and there's a good sense of depth here.
Yeah, I mean, the only part for me, I mean, yeah, Splatoon is a very busy and chaotic game, but the bottom part of the box for the logo is a tad busy. I mean, the logo almost gets, if it wasn't for the logo being all white, it would definitely get lost in that splatter. But,
yeah,
I mean, the game itself is super chaotic, so in a way that's what the cover kind of gives off.
Yeah, because the Splatoon 2, the font, there's like splats behind it. That's part of the logo itself, but then you also have the ink on the ground.
Yeah.
In the design.
Additionally, if it weren't for the black splats there too, it would be kind of terrible.
Yeah.
It wouldn't.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, that just shows you how much thought they put into it, right? The black splatter definitely helps that. And just one more thing, because I've been pointing out how usage of color around the box is quite nice. Now, if you look, the one color that they specifically put it, look at the top left where the bright lime green is to the right of the Switch logo. Mm-hmm. That is placed there deliberately because they knew that the only place they use that is sort of like by the logo. So in order to kind of give it balance, they stick that one little splatter up there. I mean, that just shows you how much attention was put into this box.
Oh yeah, the one lime green splat there. Yeah.
So they have a couple of splats around in order to balance where the colors are placed on the box.
Yeah.
For me personally, it's a very over the top box. Not one of my favorite boxes, but I have to admire the amount of attention to detail and thought put into the box. So for me, I'm definitely leaning towards Splatoon 2.
Yeah, it's Splatoon 2 for me.
Yeah, it is for me too. I think Mortal Kombat again points to being cool, the cool factor, but was maybe they changed this in Mortal Kombat 2, but didn't Super Nintendo versions of the game not even have blood anyway? So, really, how cool are you really?
Is it?
How cool are you really if you have the Super Nintendo version of Mortal Kombat?
Okay. Yeah, I forget. I don't know the history behind. I know the first one definitely was censored. I'm not sure about after the first game.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Splatoon 2 wins it all. I gotta say there was some weak competition in here. There was but Splatoon 2 is like it ran pro truck through the whole competition.
Pro trucker 18 wheeler over the whole.
Like, never stood a chance.
Yeah, there was a lot of like licensed games mixed in there, and then like even when you have the other games like Oblivion, it was like more simplistic box art, and there's not much there. So Splatoon 2, like if you put it up to this competition, it really stands out. I wonder how it would do against some of the other games we had before.
Yeah, there were definitely some stinkers in here, that's for sure. I mean, if you had to pick, what would you say was the worst box art out of the bunch?
Worst box art.
Worst. Going through here, I would probably have to say the 18-wheeler one. 18-wheeler or Caesar's Palace, maybe?
Shout out to Caesar's Palace. You love a good marble texture.
Yeah, that 18-wheeler is just so bad.
It's got to be 18-wheeler, because somehow it manages to like.
Yeah.
It manages to like present itself as like this is not a good game. That's just the impression I get from it.
I mean, I get what they're going for from 18-wheeler, but there's just so much wrong with how they decided to go about it in terms of colors and too zoomed in. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a Dreamcast game, right? It should feel super arcadey and fun looking, and this just looks so drab. I mean, the green sky is just like the dark vomit green sky. I don't know. It's just
the name 18-wheeler, and then you have in the middle of the text 18-wheeler. And American Pro Trucker, that does not just sell the game by itself. Like you needed something to really convince you to buy it.
Yeah, and that image does not do it. Well, Splatoon 2 joins the ranks of such hits as Blood Rain, and that was what won our first one.
Keith Courage in Alpha Zones.
Keith Courage in Alpha
and
Zones.
Dying Light.
Once you have 8 winners, you'll have to, or 16 winners, 16 episodes, you'll have to create a winners bracket.
I know. I was thinking that actually, I would like to do that.
Because Battles All Stars.
I want to know how it stacks up. Like, which ones will turn into weak box starts when you pair them against other winners. All right, well, thank you for joining us, Pete.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Thanks a lot. Yeah.
I always like hyper analyzing box arts. Not something that you typically would normally sit down and do, so it's a lot of fun.
I was joking with Zach. I was saying, I wonder if D is going to show up on here. It would have been pretty great if D showed up, but
would have won by default.
Yeah.
We've had some weird ones in the past, so it's surprisingly tame in comparison. Like, we've had some really wonky ones I've never heard of before.
Well, didn't we had that one Sega CD game that barely even had like a box art. What was that?
I don't know.
It was like it's like sewer something.
Sewer something. Pete, you know it.
Sewer shark.
Sewer shark.
Sewer shark. That was it. Yeah. Whatever image we had for that was horrible.
It's interesting because normally the cover for that is like a guy screaming. So maybe you had a different version of the cover.
I don't know. I remember it being like, what? It was very not good. But
all right, thank you for watching. What video would you recommend, Alec, for viewers to watch?
What video would I recommend people watch? Go check out. I don't know. You put me on the spot. You said it too early.
Couldn't be later.
Go check out our top 10 animated films that define us.
Nope. Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Do that.
All right. Subscribe to the channel. What?
No. We need to pump up Pete.
We
need to pump up our guests. Pete.
Yeah.
Where can the good people find you, Pete?
These days, if you want to feel nostalgic, like you haven't watched a YouTube video in 12 years, you can find me on YouTube. My old YouTube videos on there. Otherwise, I'm on Twitch most nights, streaming games. And that's pretty much it.
It's worth noting that we wouldn't be here if it weren't for you, Pete. Obviously, like that's what.
Yeah. No,
we met through.
Honestly, is kind of the case. So
we met through, like, I was introduced to the community through your channel, and then I was introduced to most of the people I know now through the forum. So.
Yes, old antiquated forums. It's crazy that it went on for that long, right? Because, like, man, I can't really think of any thriving forum communities too much anymore. I mean, they're still out there, right, for gaming and other things, but I mean, look at us now, right? We're using Discord, right, which is essentially the thing that is replacing forums, and it's kind of sad, but
well, you got Reddit.
Forums. Reddit
is pretty much
yeah.
But it's true long form discussion. Yeah.
Archived forever. Yeah. I mean, I was actually looking at the forum just the other day, and I'm like, God damn, there were so many topics on here that just, for as long as the forum is up, they'll be there for good. But
that's actually another video. Actually, I just remembered. It's probably our least viewed video on our channel, but it's our old PGRF memories video.
Yeah,
we did one about that.
I mean, that's like a hyper specific video, right?
It was more or less me and Zach just wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you guys keeping the forums alive as long as you did after I, moved away from forums, because it was pretty obvious that the internet was moving away from forums at the time, and
it was a dying relic of an age old era, but it was one that we had a lot of nostalgia for. So
yeah, I joined that forum in like 2009. So August 2009. I was like 12 years old at the time.
It would have been probably 2011 for me, because that was when I was starting to get into All-Gen Gamers, and
then that's where the Hey Listen podcast was formed, the Users podcast was formed, and then from there that's where we came together. So
many sub communities formed back then,
Yeah.
YouTube isn't the same anymore these days, but that is for sure. When it comes to communities working together, everything kind of feels a little segmented. So it's always fun to look back at a time capsule of back when all the communities were together, right? Because on the old forums, I'd invite other people to have a forum within my forum, right? Like that's kind of unheard of these days. Like, hey, X YouTube, whatever the YouTube channel name was, like, hey, you want a forum on my forum? That's kind of how close knit everything was back then.
Mm-hmm.
Not to derail the boxer too much, but
yeah, at the end
I'm
of the
sure
day,
anybody that watched this may have been, I don't know, maybe a part of that community.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
hearing us talk about it a little would be fun for them.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, again, thank you very much for joining us. So.
Yeah, much appreciated.
Yeah, I had a blast. And if you ever do like some super spectacular special in the future for, Sonic box art or something,
Oh, okay.
let me know. Or any super special box art.
Will you come for the All Stars?
Yep.
All right.
We do love talking about Sonic on this channel, so
Yeah.
I do anyway. I don't know about Zach, but I do.
Yeah, that would be crazy. All Sonic, yeah. All Sonic box arts. 16 Sonic box arts pitted against each other. Yeah.
I mean, that would be a little unfair about your format, though, right? Because it's kind of the fun of seeing what random boxes would defeat others. So if you do all Sonic, then it kind of guarantees Sonic getting into the top 16.
We're gonna rig Sonic to be in the All Stars round. Yeah. All right. So subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to our podcast feed. Like the video. Leave a comment. Hit the notification bell. Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Tarqaron, TWO. All right.